Hey, it's Crafty here. I'm going to be talking about some next level steps for the guitar. So, let's get right into them right now. So, you may have seen the Are You Beyond the Beginner Stage video, and now you're watching the next level steps for the guitar. If you are wondering, am I actually a beginner, and you haven't seen that video, well then go check it out before you watch this one. Alright, so we're going to be talking about the next level steps for guitar. First is knowing some basic music theory terms. And applied to guitar, they're just as important as the other instruments that are out there to play and singing as well. Okay, so in the Are You Past the Beginner Stage video, I talked about counting in and bars and so forth. That's really important. You've got to be able to understand how many beats are in a bar and can you count along while you're playing. That's really important. Another basic music theory term is notes. What's a note? Basically, a note is just one single sound, and one single bit of silence is a rest. Okay, and with those notes and rests have a certain amount of values as well. A note and a rest as well can be either a crotchet, which also is known as a quarter note, that lasts for one beat, or it could be, say, a semi-breve, which is also known as a whole note, and that lasts for 4 beats. And there's a bunch of other values that you need to learn. Check them out. More than one single sound on guitar is a chord. Okay, so the word pitch is really important. The word note is really similar, but the word note refers to the name of the particular pitch, whereas the word pitch just basically means higher or lower. Okay, next on this list is tempo. What is tempo? Tempo is just basically the speed. How fast, how slow. Clefs is next on the list. That's like a treble clef or a bass clef, or if you're a drummer, a drum clef, but we're a guitarist. So basically we almost always need to know what a treble clef looks like, because the sheet music that we're going to be reading as a guitarist is a treble clef. So just while we're on this treble clef here, just a couple of tips for you is, if you've never learnt this before in music class like what I had to, is that you go, every good boy deserves fruit, just to be able to figure out what the notes on the lines are, and the spaces spell out the word face, F-A-C-E. And for a long time I didn't actually realize, as clear as it was when I just saw it all written out, is that it just follows the musical alphabet. So knowing the musical alphabet is just the letters A to G, and then all of the notes just follow the pattern of following the alphabet, going up and then going down as well. Okay, sharps and flats are the next one. So sharp is basically hashtag sharps, and flats are an italic B. A sharp is just one semitone higher. If you don't know what a semitone is, on guitar it's basically just the next fret, and flat is going one down. So here's an example. This note here is G, and the next note is G sharp. That's one fret higher than what I played before, but a G flat from here, that being G, is one fret lower. But while I'm on that semitone word, we should also say that the word tone is 2 frets. But before we leave sharps and flats, I should also say that a G chord can go to a G sharp chord. Back to G, that can actually go a fret down to G flat as well. Now if you have a hard time remembering if the sharp is up or down, this is how I think of it. I think that if you're going to go and sit down on a sharp object, then you'll probably bounce right up, right? Whereas if you're feeling flat, or if you're thinking of something like flat tires, well then what happens to it? Goes down. Okay, so the word octave is our next term that we need to know. What is an octave? The way I like to think of it is it's the same note but a different pitch. So on guitar, for instance, the note E, you could find another E there, and that is a different octave. It's 2 octaves above, in fact, whereas this note here, there's 3 different octaves there. lower one, the next octave up, and 2 octaves above it. So you can find other places on the guitar, and sometimes you can play octaves together as well. Okay, next on the list is the word scale. Do you know what a scale is? Basically, a scale is just a collection of notes played in order. So the most popular guitar scale to learn is called a pentatonic scale. I'm just going to play 1 octave of it in the key of A. And that is starting the next octave, which goes like this. Now if I was to play 2 octaves together and also ending at the highest root note, sounds like that. And so if you've never learnt that before, you need to learn a pentatonic scale, because it's basically the most tried and true way as a guitarist to be able to improvise a guitar solo. I'll just quickly demonstrate. If I just play that just on its own, it doesn't sound that good, but if I start mucking around with the order of it, all of a sudden what happens is, oh, this sounds really cool. And another technique that I did was I just chucked in hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, and vibrato. At least I think I did all of them just there in that quick example. Watch it back. Okay, the word melody is something that you got to understand. What is a melody? Basically, it's the notes that the singer sings, or it's the main tune to the song. I will play one right now. So that's the melody to a song called Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which the main guitar part goes. And that's the main guitar riff, so it's important to know the difference. Some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, what if there's no singing in the tune? Well, then it's just the main hummable notes that the singer might sing if the singer was singing. But if there's no singer, well then it's the hummable notes. Okay, the word harmony is next on our list here, and that is basically simply playing 2 or more notes at once. So if I went, that's just a melody, but then a harmony to that could be so what I did there was I played this. Together with put them both together. Got yourself a harmony. Now we'll also add that you can have 3 or more harmonies, separate notes all blending together. But yeah, the basic definition of a harmony is 2 or more notes that are different notes being played together at the same time. Okay, next on the list is knowing the difference between a chord and an arpeggio. You ever heard that word, arpeggio? It's kind of a cool word. So for instance, this is a C major chord. If I was to just play those notes separately, then that would be the arpeggio, which is a chord but just played separately. Sometimes piano players call them broken chords. Time signatures is next on our list, and basically all that is knowing that there's a different amount of beats per bar. So instead of 4/4, you could have 3/4. You could have 6. Key signatures next on our list. Basically all that is on sheet music, knowing how many sharps or flats are within a key. Knowing about keys is important as well, and the easiest way I could describe it to you if you're not really sure is that the key of a song usually is either and the first and last chord of a song. Sometimes that method of figuring out a key will bite you. It isn't always necessarily like that, but it usually is. Last in this basic music theory terms list is the word dynamics. Now that can be overlooked a lot by the beginner stages of guitarists. So what is dynamics? Dynamics is how loud or soft, basically. And generally speaking, a good way to be able to give yourself a go-to is in a verse of a song being a bit quieter than a chorus. So check this out. I'm just going to play C to G. Kind of sounds like a verse because I'm not playing too loud. Here we go. Chorus. Back to another verse. Alright, so just before I go, can I ask you, how did we go with this list? How did you go? Was there a bunch of things that you learned, or did you basically know everything? Yeah, so if there's anything that I forgot, well then leave me a comment below. Okay, last thing before I go, I have a free ebook download for you. It's called Actually, How Good Are You? It's really good to have that brutal self-analysis type of critique of where am I actually at and where do I want to go on this crazy musical journey. What this ebook has, it's got a bunch of methods to figure that out. It's also got the action steps that you need to take. It's all in the ebook. So download it. There's a link below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I've really enjoyed it. Keep going with those next level steps on guitar. And if you are like me and play any other instruments as well, well then I've got another video on the subject of that instrument. So go check it out now. Go. Bye. See ya.